Do you feel trapped in a marriage where your partner's needs seem to take precedence over your own, where everything revolves around what they need, when they need it, uh, their timing, their agenda, and that your opinions or needs or beliefs don't really matter, and that no matter what you do, it doesn't seem good enough. It's never enough. It's never right. It's never what they expect. It's just never enough. And you find yourself constantly walking on eggshells because you doubt yourself now. You can't figure out what it is that you could possibly do better, but it's always not enough. This is what it feels like when you're married to a narcissist. I'm Victoria McCooey. I'm a high conflict divorce coach, a divorce mediator, and the creator of the Reclaim Your Power system. I help people every day who are right where you are, stuck in a toxic marriage to a narcissistic spouse, or already engaged in a contentious divorce from one. So in my many years of coaching people in toxic marriages, trying to leave their spouse, I see these patterns play out over and over and over again. So what I've learned is that there are a lot of similarities in all these narcissistic spouses, but at the same time, there are also a lot of similarities in the people they're married to, in the people who feel trapped and who are trying to leave and don't believe they can. So I just wanted to share these insights with you because I think you'll find a lot of commonality in these traits that I'm about to expose. While only 6.2% of the population is actually diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, many, many more have narcissistic traits. And this number affects about 1 million people in these relationships. So you're not alone, and don't think that you're crazy. This is very prevalent. A lot of people are going through the same feelings that you're going through. So here are the traits that I have found very common in the women who I work with who are trying to leave a narcissistic spouse. They tend to be people pleasers. They tend to have low self-esteem based on whatever happened during childhood or whatever. A therapist might be able to work with them on that. But how it manifests here is that they feel they have to prove or earn their love from someone who they feel is better than they are. So that's what leads to the people-pleasing part of it. Also, they're highly conscientious. They're typically overachievers. They're intelligent and educated and ambitious. They are rule followers and law abiders. They are list makers and box checkers. They are very type A personalities. You know, they like to make lists and make sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. They rise to a challenge. There is nothing they won't try to do, and they'll usually succeed at it. That's why it's so frustrating for them, because they can't succeed at this. They will try and try and try to fix their marriage, to save their family. They take on this entire burden of trying to save the situation, and it's impossible. It can't be fixed. There is no pill, there is no therapy that can fix a narcissist. And even though your spouse may not actually be a diagnosable narcissist, they may have many, many of the traits, and it is not something that you can conquer. As much as you've ever achieved success before, this is something that is probably out of your wheelhouse. So this is why they stay. This is why they don't give up. You know, they're so stubborn. They want to fix it. But what happens is the harder they try to fix it, the more abuse they suffer at the hands of the narcissist, and the weaker they become. It's a horrible cycle. The harder they try, the more they are weakened. And this constant, because the abuse will amp up, you know, when they start trying to make boundaries, trying to redirect whatever's happening, like if there's financial abuse, fixing the finances, the more they try to do the right thing to get the family back on the right track, the more the narcissist has to amp up their abusive behavior to get the spouse back in line, you know, back under their control. What a vicious cycle. Do you see how it just perpetuates itself? But what happens is this non-toxic spouse becomes weaker and weaker and weaker over time because the abuses get harder and harder and harder to come back from. And eventually, if the narcissist wins, that person just has to give up because they're in such a weakened position. If the non-toxic spouse sees it finally for what it is, which is not a fixable situation, and if they can change their mindset to realize that what's best for this family dynamic, what's best for the non-toxic spouse, what's best for the children, and probably even what's best for the narcissistic spouse, is to leave the family, is to divorce, is to give the children and the non-toxic spouse space away from this toxic personality. So even though the children will be going back and forth, at least they have this place they can go to, even if it's not 100% of the time. It is 100% of the time for the non-toxic spouse, so this is going to give them a chance to heal. But at least now the children have that refuge. They get to experience what a household with a healthy, mature, and selfless parent feels like. And they'll also, by contrast, see the narcissist straight out for what they are, what that household looks and feels like with an immature, selfish, and toxic parent. So yes, you want to save your children from that experience, but what you can do is save them from half of the time that they would have spent with that person. Does this sound like your marriage? Is this what you're currently going through? I would love to help. If you would like to book a call with me, I'll put a link in the description below where you can get right on my calendar. Did you find this information helpful? I hope you did. If you liked this video, will you please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I've linked a couple of other videos here that I think you might also like, so I hope I see you in the next video.